trip, which is to say I'm on vacation with my client's family. I hate vacation, so I'm really bored. I thought I would do an advertisement for the podcast I've been planning to make for years. I don't know if anyone would be interested in this podcast, because basically the listenership would consist of people who really like listening to me talk and live in San Francisco, or like listening to me talk so much that they don't mind listening to me review places that they probably are not going to go to and are not familiar with. But I thought I would just talk about stuff a little bit. Then when I do make the podcast, if people want to listen to it, they'll know what it's going to be like. My podcast is going to be called the 49-Mile Scenic Slog, and it's basically going to be about going to divey places in San Francisco. Like, I guess my thing basically is the types of places that I most like to be in, I guess, are restaurants, but I'm not really interested in the food. I really like going to places that are kind of crappy and dark, and I like to eavesdrop on the people that are there, I guess. I mean, dark, I guess, is an overstatement. You know, like, I really like diners. I like places that are cheap and have, like, been around for a long time and just have a nice personality. I feel like most restaurants that are considered to be nice make me feel very uncomfortable, the same way that, like, hotel rooms do. Like, there's just this weird absence of personality there. And I guess because I have no personality myself, I just really like going out and being in a place that has a lot of personality and kind of soaking up the personality of everyone who's there. So I think I sort of figured out that because even though San Francisco is not a super big city or anything, like, it's very tightly compressed. There's tons of places and neighborhoods and restaurants and parks that I've never been to, even though I've lived there for 6 years, because, I don't know, there's just so many neighborhoods that it's really easy for me to never end up going into. So what I was planning to do was kind of take a map of the city, put a grid on it, and, like, make a point of visiting each, like, small section of the grid so that I can feel like I've really had the full experience. Now, I've been planning to do this for years, so I don't know if I'll actually get around to it or not, but it's just something that I've always wanted to do. And I think because I'm on vacation, I'm feeling unusually depressed about life because there's just, like, nothing to do or think about. So maybe I'll actually get around to this. Anyway, I guess right now I'll just review a few things in San Francisco. Recently I went on a cable car for the first time. In The Room, or in TV shows and movies about San Francisco, aside from The Room, people often are shown taking cable cars to work or school, but actually, I at least have never done this. Like, when I first moved to San Francisco, Google Maps told me that in order to get to this job working at this particular woman's house, I needed to take the cable car. As soon as I got to the cable car stop, I could see that there was a really, really long line of tourists, and I just looked at the cable car, and it didn't look like anything that, like, could realistically take anyone to work, so I just walked, and was super late. Anyway, I've never tried taking a cable car since then, and it's really annoying because Google Maps will tell you to take cable cars to, like, work or places that you need to go, and you can't, like, turn off that preference. Like, you can't make it not show you cable cars. So finally I decided to take one. It was full of tourists. However, I did actually get on, and it wasn't as annoying as I thought. Like, on TV, people are always sitting on the outside of the cable car, which looks kind of annoying, but there's actually sort of like an inner sheltered area, which is a little bit nicer to sit in. So I sat in there. Then, like, I don't know, I guess it was time to get off for me, and you had to tell them that you wanted to get off, which I didn't do correctly or whatever. So I don't really respond well to, like, people trying to give me sudden directions, so it got to the point where I was like, I want to get off, and they were like, you have to get off right now, and I, like, froze. So then we went down this, like, really long hill, and then it was time for me to get off, and the people were like, oh, are you sure you can handle, like, walking up this hill? And I was like, yes. Then, like, another cable car came in the opposite direction, and so then all the conductors started yelling at me, get on the other one. And like, so I just kind of like went along with what they said, even though I didn't really want to. So I like ran over to the other one, and like, because I'm the way I am, I kept kind of freezing. So I like finally got on it, and I was like hanging off of it, and like my backpack was hanging off of one shoulder. And like, I just want to clarify that I was carrying like all of my earthly goods. Like, I had my computer and stuff that I really can't afford to lose. And like, it started going back up the hill, so it was going up this really steep hill, and I was like hanging out, and like my backpack was hanging off of one shoulder, and like the conductor was like, oh, you should put your backpack like in the front instead. And like, I obviously couldn't like move, so I couldn't do that. And like, I was trying to put it on both shoulders, but the only way I could do that was by like elbowing this like tiny child, so I couldn't do it. I just had to kind of pray that my backpack strap didn't break and my backpack didn't go hurtling off down the hill. So I made it. Anyway, since then I realized that I can take the cable cars to some places that aren't super accessible by bus, and like, you know, Nob Hill type North Beach area, where I dog sit and go to church and stuff. So it's sort of a nice option. I still find it kind of awkward, like, I think it's sort of interesting to like live in a city where a lot of people come on vacation or to do tourist things, especially if you don't necessarily like live or work in those neighborhoods, so that it actually is kind of like a special occasion for me to see tourists and realize that people are coming here for fun. It's nice to think about, though. It's nice to think that any like regular boring place could actually be a vacation to somebody. I recently moved to a different neighborhood called Sunnyside. People who live in San Francisco invariably say, what is that, when I say where I live. It's sort of near Glen Park, I guess. It is extremely sunny. I guess I should have taken the name seriously, but it's not really, there's not really anywhere that's usually sunny here, so I didn't think that it would be like that. I can hear everybody else walking around the house, and it's making me self-conscious. Sunnyside is way too sunny. Whenever I walk around there, I feel sick. It's not really close to anything, which makes me feel a little bit lonely and isolated. But the cool thing is that all of the houses are decorated in a really weird way. My favorite has giant trees in front of it with a bunch of little toy animals dangling down from the trees. Close to my house, there's this sidewalk where the people have done a mosaic on it, and the mosaic turns into a little gazebo, and like it comes up, and then inside the gazebo is a little doll looking out at you. There's also a house where they have 4 giant cardboard photos of men's faces smiling in the windows, and I don't know whether these are the men that live in the house, meaning that it's like a family consisting of 4 young men, or it's friends of theirs, or they're like some kind of celebrity. But they're these really huge faces, like kind of grinning at you as you walk past. There's a house that has really giant pictures of Disney characters like Mickey Mouse in the window. So basically, I think negative feelings that I might have had about living in like a very residential neighborhood that isn't near, like super near to like stores or libraries or restaurants or anything, is offset by the fact that all the decorations are so weird that there's still a lot to see and enjoy. There's also somebody who does a lot of chalk drawings of Pac-Man ghosts all over the sidewalk, and then somebody else keeps putting up signs saying how much they appreciate the drawings of the Pac-Man ghosts. So that's my review of the Sunnyside neighborhood. It's definitely way too sunny, but I do like everything else about it, such as its character.